PC Games recently released an article featuring an interview with former Fallout series developer Nate Perkypile about what he hopes to see in Fallout 5. Now, Nate was an artist for Bethesda for 14 years before leaving the studio to strike on his own to make a horror hunting simulator game called The Axis Unseen. Now, he shared several interesting thoughts during the interview about what he would hope to see in a Fallout 5, from vehicles being featured in the game to possible settings. Now, he's listed 2 settings, Colorado being one of them, which makes sense. Fans have been talking about Colorado for years as a possible setting, and that would kind of be popular among a big segment of the fan base. Another is New Orleans, which is another popular setting that has been discussed, and there was actually rumors shortly after Fallout 4 was released that there would be a game taking place there, potentially a spin-off title similar to New Vegas, or a mainline title such as the next Fallout, such as Fallout 5. Those rumors over the years have kind of simmered down, as one would expect, but it was something that was a popular talking point a number of years ago. Now, in the interview, this is what Nate had to say. Whatever I want to do is probably not what they want to do. I don't think it will go outside of America for the core games personally. So it's a matter of picking the places in America that would be the coolest and niche. I personally would say New Orleans or Colorado. I've also personally wanted them to get maybe a little bit wider and bring vehicles in eventually. But I don't know whether that would happen either, because it would be a very different approach when designing a world with vehicles. The spacing of everything is completely different, kind of like a Mad Max game. Now, I partially agree with him there. I actually don't want to see vehicles in a Fallout game, at least in any significant way. And the reason is what he pointed out. It'd just be a completely different game. Not that it would be a bad game. Not that the idea of a post-apocalyptic vehicle game would be bad. I think that would actually be really, really fun. It would be very Mad Max-like. It would just be very different from Fallout. And I don't think that the two kind of work together. So I partially agree with him there. I don't want to see it, but for the reasons he stated, he doesn't think it would happen. Now, the conversation about New Orleans, as I mentioned, that's been a popular talking point among fans for a little while. There were rumors after Fallout 4 that there would be a spin-off title and potentially Fallout 5. I don't think Fallout 5 will be the setting. I actually think, and some other YouTubers have pointed this out, that there's a very good chance it may be New York City. Fallout 4 was originally going to take place in New York City, but Bethesda didn't think that the engine had matured enough to handle that, so they decided to set it in Boston, which was a really cool setting in itself, so no complaints there. Given that, I think that there's a very good chance that Fallout 5 will take place in New York, and that would be a great setting, to be honest. I know there's some debate among fans whether New York is still standing, but it was never directly confirmed in the lore that New York was completely wiped off the map, so a game taking place there is still a possibility, and that would be kind of cool to see. However, I really do think that New Orleans would be a great setting for a Fallout game. A mainline game, definitely. But even a spin-off title, like the rumors were a number of years ago, that would be awesome as well. A full-length spin-off title would just be absolutely amazing. And the reason I think that is for a few reasons. One, swamps are great settings in video games generally, but they're particularly good in Fallout. We've had a number of swamps, most notably Point Lookout and the Far Harbor DLCs. Those were just great expansions to their mainline games, and the swamp creates this great atmosphere between all the mist and the bendy trees and the water and everything like that. It's dark and mysterious and creepy as a great setting for a Fallout game. And New Orleans, the surrounding countryside in real life, has plenty of swamps. Louisiana has a lot of swamps, so Fallout New Orleans would definitely allow for a swampy setting. Another reason is you kind of have real-life mysticism and mythology built into New Orleans, which I think would work really well for a Fallout game. You have the voodoo stuff, all the different history involved in that. You have history of serial killers and different things like that that would all work well for inspiring different things within the lore of a Fallout New Orleans, and also inspire missions as well. So you have this potentially creepy, swampy setting. You have the city in the center of it. New Orleans is a pretty populous city, so you have that. and you have this potential history and lore from real life that you could pull into the game and twist it around and turn into Fallout lore pretty easily. Another thing interesting about the physical setting is there's levees and stuff, so you can imagine a situation where some of the levees have failed and half the city's underwater now. So you have one half of the city where people are still living, and then another part of the city which is completely flooded, so you can create a really cool environment there. Maybe people live on the roofs of buildings and stuff like that to stay above the water, and you have wooden rope bridges and stuff between buildings because everything's flooded. You can picture how that would look really easily, and with the swamps in the background and kind of the mossy grass hanging from branches and from buildings and stuff, it'd be a great, creepy, very Fallout-esque setting, and I think the next Fallout game taking place there, or some future Fallout game, would be amazing. So I agree with Nate completely. I would love to see a Fallout game take place there, and it's really cool hearing a former Bethesda developer talking about something I've wanted to see for a while, and it maybe even speaks a little bit to the rumors. Maybe the rumors were somewhat true. Maybe Bethesda at one time was talking about it, a Fallout New Orleans, and Nate is kind of echoing something he heard when he was working for the studio. But either way, I think it was a great interview. I think it's always fun to hear what former developers have to say. And yeah, at some point, if Bethesda does decide to do a Fallout New Orleans, I am behind that 100%.